Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective Podcast. I'm 10 Types, joined by Uncommon Fossil.
Hello, and welcome to episode 221. I know you're all dying to know what that number is, and don't ask me what the number means.
Yeah, but because it is not the 200th episode. But today we're going to be talking about actually Silver Tempest, which may seem a bit random, but
And it is.
Yeah, it is. But we made a tier list on this. It was, I think, before the podcast. Do you remember?
Oh, this wasn't a podcast.
I don't remember. It might.
I don't know.
But it was us together. We may have the video link down below in the description. It was on my channel. I don't remember exactly what happened. But so we had this tier list we made together before I think Silver Tempest came out. These images that I'm like, so if you're watching the video, I think the images are proxies, but I don't think they're all proxies. I'm not entirely sure. But this is like a tier list of them. So there are certain cards not on this because it just guess we didn't think they were good, or potentially the site we're getting from didn't think they were good.
Right, we might have used Justin Basil's proxies, probably, that's kind of the simplest one to get English images of the cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things is obviously partly you don't know what's going to be good, and then we'll also take into account how they are now after a lot more cards have been printed for ones that have significantly changed.
Yeah, and also especially with rotation happening, that's changed things as well.
Yeah.
So let's start off with some cards that we don't have on the tier list. What do you want to start with?
You want to start, I mean, the first one in the list that I hit to is Articuno when I scroll through by just number. And that's in fact card number 1, I think.
No.
No, it's card number 36.
Grass is the first type. Water is the third type. It's not.
All right, I don't know why it displays the weight. I guess it's out. No, I don't. Anyway, so Articuno, which saw some play, basic single prize Pokemon for the Wild Freeze attack. 2 water energies, does 70 in your opponent, and it does 50 to itself, so it's down to 60, but your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. So obviously 70 damage, you're doing 50 to yourself, made it rather unappealing, but the paralysis does make it was a tech option that saw play.
Yeah, I mean, more than a tech option, I feel like. Well, it was tech. I'm looking at
It was in what, Curlia? Or
what?
Well, I mean, it was in Palkia or it was in Chen Pao?
It was it was tech in Palkia. I guess Chimpa, I'm looking in some lost decks. But what I remember from is there was a deck. I guess the deck here is called Articuno Inteleon. This deck, well, it would run like the Inteleon engine, which is just a really good engine. You can actually attack with the Inteleon, and there is you can do extra damage, and then you can just like either Raihan or you could Frostlass. I always think of it as Frostlass, but the list I'm looking at don't run a ton.
So right, because there's 2 energy attacker.
Frostmoth.
So Frostmoth to accelerate energy, and Raihan. Okay. And then later on, well, Palkia was out at this time, yes.
Yeah, Palkia was
Could have been
a few sets before.
And Qian Pao came out later, of course. And
yeah, and Baxcalibur.
Yes.
Which is more important.
Well, yeah, I mean, so, but it saw some play initially and at later times too, I guess.
Yeah, so I think this is, so let's take a look at actually the tier list. This is S, A, B, C, D. These are, I believe, the default settings on Tier Maker, and that's what we have.
Yeah.
So, where do you rank this?
I mean, I think it might be a C tier. It depends how you're going to do it. It's obviously not the main card in the deck, right? It was kind
Although
of.
it can kind of be the main card. And sorry, we actually need to talk about another card real quick. Emergency Jelly. This is a tool, an item, but it's not really. It was an item for 3 months, and then the rules changed.
It was still a tool, though.
Yes. One weird thing I want to say is this format. Obviously, normally it's a new set comes out every like few months. But with this was like the Pokemon TCG lot. This was the last set on Pokemon TCG Online, so this format stayed for a while, for like 9 months online, which is kind of weird. But
yeah, and we'll talk about what the live meta was as well later on.
Yeah,
which was very much impacted by this and the whole timing of both. As PTJ went away, live came in. Both of them had weird metas.
Yeah, but so Emergency Jelly, it essentially, if you have low HP 30 or less, then you heal 120 damage from the Pokemon it's attached to and you discard it.
Right.
This is, I believe, the same as Last Chance Potion, except instead of being an item, it's a tool, which it means that it works like a little differently, but similar. So that means you won't be knocking yourself out after a few attacks or be super low. which is,
Well,
I
I
guess,
mean, you're down to 60 after one attack, and it's not like that was
no, and 110's not a ton either, but
right. But part of it was if your opponent's paralyzed, they're gonna have a hard time. It's a lot of work to get out of paralysis.
yeah, because paralysis, if you don't know, is they can't attack or retreat during their next turn.
Right, and it's not a coin flip
Sleep.
like a sleep, and right, and with confuse you can retreat so out of it. So it's really the most effective. If you can get paralysis, it's I think the strongest form of lock in the
Um,
game.
yeah, it depends how much Switch people play.
Right, but if they're hitting single prizes, they're almost all unless they're playing like Lost Zone with like a dozen switches, they're gonna run out of switches.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, so Articuno, I mean, where do you think it is?
I'd put it in maybe B. I'm looking at some of the other cards. There's like S and A are like really solid,
Yeah.
but then there's some like drop off. I feel like it would fit within like B tier. I could see C tier. We're not necessarily like committing to locking it in.
No, we're not actually updating the tier list. I mean, it was I guess in the Italian deck it was a primary attacker. In other decks, I think it was very much a secondary attacker, from
Yeah,
what I
but it was like
recall.
it was a good secondary attacker.
No, it was. Well, it also was also sometimes a thing for in some decks where the goal was to get ahead and win our prizes, and then if you found yourself in trouble, you would paralyze and hope to buy a turn or two while you set up. I think there were decks like that used it too.
Yeah, I think that's honestly like a big use because it's not really a super great attacker, but it is
Right.
something that like water was good at this time. Water is still good, but water was really good.
Right.
It was like the best type by far. Or
Well, with the Intellion engine, it was very, very good. But when it's kind of in an emergency break glass kind of hope thing, then to me I'd push it down to C tier. If it's not, there was a fair amount of hoping with the attack too. Like is my sense.
I guess yeah, that's probably fair.
So
So
whatever. I mean BC. I think we're around there.
yeah, and I don't think we'll rate Emergency Jelly because it's mostly just there. I think this only saw play. Oh no, he's played with Roaring Moon, I guess, but not
Okay,
super commonly.
see some play
Um,
now.
I guess it's a little weird because
Oh,
really
because they
cool.
damage themselves.
Yeah, so it could be nice, but it's like so you do 200 yourself, but you're
Right.
still not like full HP. The Roaring Moon will die to a Charmander, which like isn't good, but
It takes it out of range of some things. So I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know how much it was
yeah,
played.
it's all right. But
Yeah, I mean, look again. It wouldn't have been wrong. I think it would might have been good to put on the tier list, but it's probably like a D tier, probably emergency jelly. I would think if we did it.
yeah. And then next, let's talk about what do you want to? Actually, no. Let's talk about some of your favorite Pokemon from the set. I think they're pretty
Right.
terrible. I'm going to be completely honest. It's Claydol and Stonejourner. So they both do something if you have no supporters in your discard. Stonejourner does 190 for 3, otherwise just a 60. It's a basic.
Right. I mean, was only meant to work with the Claydol. I think the Claydol is more interesting.
Yeah,
I
you
gotta
want
say.
to say
I mean, Stonejourner though, you're doing what 60 plus,
you're doing one
so
190.
190, but you need at least two Claydols in play to make it happen. So Claydol, which I had a nice little Ditto deck before this last rotation that was pretty good. We lost the Zapdos, so that's hurt a lot. But Claydol,
Valerian chapters.
yeah, yep, thank you. Stage one, fighting type Pokemon, and it's got the mysterious charge ability. You can use this ability only if you have no support cards in your discard pile.
A supporter card.
No supporter. Thank you. Once during your turn, you may attach a fighting energy card from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon. So it can go to isn't restricted to fighting type Pokemon to accelerate to, and it can go to the active. It's not restricted to the bench. So that's all good stuff. So as the game would go on, like with the Stonejourner, its attack was 3 energy. So you kind of need to get at least 2 Claydol in play, and you don't have any support. Look, it makes the deck tough to set up without a supporter, right?
Yeah, I feel like
I get that.
it's decent. It was like potential if you could ignore the no supporter thing. I think it was a pretty solid card. It would be pretty
Well, it
good.
would be
I didn't
very
like
good
it would be
then.
very good, but that like without a support, you just like don't set up like because you need multiple stage ones, so you're essentially never set up.
Yeah, look, first off, how do you, with a tier list like this, I think it deserves some attention because we also included a Pokemon that worked with this on our tier list.
Well, no, yes, but
Well, it wanted to, right?
so that card's Terrakion. We're gonna go down the tiers later, but Terrakion is interesting. How do I spell this?
Terrak. So
AK,
this was in my Ditto box, the Terrakion with the Claydol and the Galarian Zapdos. So the Terrakion 130 HP, basic Pokemon, retreat cost of 3. That was rough, but a lot of these fighting Pokemon have high retreat costs. And then Cavern Tackle, 120 damage, and during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage from attacks done to this Pokemon. If you used Cavern Tackle during the last turn, this attack can't be used, and that isn't just you can't just switch Pokemon and reset that. If any of your Pokemon used Cavern Tackle, you can't use Cavern Tackle the following turn. So you'd have to switch things up, which is why the Galarian Zapdos that paralyzed was the way I like to switch between it.
Yeah, I will say this Pokemon, we weren't really talking about it attacking them in the tier list. If we look at the tier list, it's part of the 4-1 deck, which is with the Four Swords of Justice with Keldeo and Verzion as the attackers. So its Trackion's just grouped in with those four. So we didn't really look at Trakion as an attacker, which we'll talk about later on. But
So anyway, part of it's also this question, getting back to Claydol. If we're talking competitive play, then okay, you could not discuss it, or it's a D tier, right?
Even on like regular play, I think it's worse.
But if you want to play rogue decks, which we both like to do, a card like this is very intriguing.
It's intriguing, but it's bad. Like it's worse than
the Ditto deck wasn't bad. It was a pretty fun deck.
It was fun.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't terrible.
Certain things came later too. Don't forget, like Squawkabilly EX came later to help set up, because that was a big plus too. Because with a deck without supporters, being able to setting up was really rough. So something like Squawkabilly coming along helped. We had the barrel engine, so we could get some engine pieces. Look, to me it was an interesting card. I would like to have discussed.
I agree, it was an interesting
and it's probably
card.
A D tier.
It's pretty bad.
Or
I think it's like
you also had a tier list where you had like silly cards or something as the bottom list, right? On a different tier list. Not this one, right? So if you had
no, that wasn't even the bottom tier. It was like gimmicky cards, and it was like D, and I had an F tier below it.
So this is the gimmicky card.
Yes,
right?
But I think it's
you
pretty
put like
bad.
Fortress EX there. I think it's a gimmicky
I think this is
card.
substantially worse than Fortress EX.
Maybe.
Which isn't good.
Well, yeah, I still have my dreams of Fortress EX, but that's not. Anyway, so if it's on, I think it's an interesting one. It's like D tier, and we don't want to talk about it anymore, right?
I don't.
You don't want to.
Anyway, so let's move on to some other Pokemon I like. Let's talk about Mismagius, or I guess you like Mismagius and Spinda as well.
Right, you did the deck with Spinda. I had a revised deck that had Mismagius.
Yeah. So you want to start with Mismagius?
No, start with Spinda.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah. So Spinda, the better one, in my opinion. I guess it's weird. So it's a basic one colorless. I think this actually displays in GLC, but it does. And this is a standard tier list, by the way. I guess we didn't say that, but
standard format.
Standard format, yes.
Okay.
And a standard tier list. We have the default tiers, but Spinda basic. And its attack for one colorless. It does have 2 retreat, which actually is like annoying, but this attack does 10 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon, which is like not that good, but it's actually not like that bad. And then your opponent's active is now confused. So confusion, they have to flip. They can't have a retreat out of it, but they have to flip a coin if tails. Their attack fails. This is it's pretty annoying. You talk about Ditto with fighting. I played this with actually a psychic-based Ditto deck with a weird cast of attackers, including Mimikyu from Lost Origin.
Okay.
You don't remember?
No, it knocked off my head.
And I don't remember exactly what was in the list. It was like Reshiram from Celebrations.
I think, yeah.
And
that was like one of the first ones I cut when I revised it.
That was so good. It was so well. It had 3 retreat. That was worse than 2 retreat. But you could attach a double turbo and do 0 damage. But no, so this card's interesting. It's probably not very good, right?
No, it's not very good. You had a deck that you made, right? I don't remember if you made a video or not.
The Ditto one?
Yeah,
I think I made multiple.
And then I took it and I revised it. I don't know if I ever played your list or not on a video.
You did. Oh yeah, I don't think you played mine on a video. It was like super weird.
I had some and I revised. I think I made at least one. I had multiple videos on it. So the Mismagius, which fits in with it.
It's arguably it's probably better.
Right, it's a stage 1, so that's the clear downside to it. Retreat cost is 1. That's a plus. It's got the attack for 1 psychic, puts 2 damage counters each of your opponent's Pokemon, which I think is better than 1.
Maybe. What if we're playing
So anyway, so the attack is twice as good.
It doesn't confuse.
It doesn't confuse, but then it's got Spiteful Magic ability. If this Pokemon has full HP and is knocked out by damage from an attack from opponent's Pokemon, put 8 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon, which is nice as well. So you build up damage faster, and you might get even extra damage when you're knocked out. One of those coin flip effects that just everybody loves. But, again, a gimmicky card for sure.
Yeah, wait, which is coin flippy?
Mismagius, right? Oh no,
No,
it's
this
not.
one's
It's
not
not
coin
flippy.
flippy.
It's
Yeah, I
just
think
you
you're
have to
thinking
have
of
full
that.
HP. So that was the big, yeah, right. Which you often would.
Yeah, I mean the more likely thing where it wouldn't trigger is if you got like Sableye or if you got
Right, if you're not knocked out by damage.
yeah, or yeah, like guillotine restart. Anyway, so
Yeah.
these are both all right. I think Mismagius is like more generally playable versus Spinda is more like niche.
Yeah.
I don't know. That doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense. I think Mismagius you can play like 4 Mismagius and have a deck.
Yeah,
Spinda
you
is like
could.
a tech option. Is I guess what I'm saying.
Right. Look, Spinda's colorless, so it could go in some control style decks, I guess. Obviously, it was a way to spread damage on any type of energy, but Mismagius did more damage, and obviously the ability helped it too. So again, not look, neither one is a great card, right?
Yeah, I think they're both all right. I think Mismagius on YouTube. I think a lot of different YouTubers played it.
Hmm.
And it's like pretty all right. And Spinda is kind of fun card. Um,
Right. I mean, so obviously, like on a competitive tier list, they're both D tier, right?
I get, yeah. I mean, I
But
think there was some value in them. I think people haven't really explored them like at all. And I'd say I'd put them into the C tier. I do think they're like a noticeable step above Claydol.
okay. I mean, look, they're easier to set up, obviously. Yeah, I mean, C tier would be fine. I mean, obviously, look, not if you're building a deck for to bring to an IRL tournament, I don't think they're C tier. But
I don't know. I think
for
they're
deck
like,
building to
yeah.
play and have,
I think they
you
were
can win.
certainly a C tier. I think they were with like Inteleon Engine, where you'd be getting extra damage, greater
Oh,
consistency,
with
potentially more
pinging,
disruption,
yeah.
seeking path, lots of different things.
Hmm.
They were like viable.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Like kind of. Anyway, so next, the only other Pokemon I have.
Hmm.
How many Pokemon do you have?
One Pokemon,
Yeah, so it's
Lightning.
Zeraora here. You want to talk about this one? I don't really want to talk about this one.
Okay, well, and then I brought up. Look, this one saw play. This whole one saw competitive play. So
Yes.
we now it partly saw competitive play later on. I guess it has free retreat, so that was part of it. Although Flappy was in format at this time when it came out, right? So
Yeah.
if people were playing Lightning, you Flappy to the bench, so you needed a pivot, right?
Yeah.
And also, and then later on, you could attack 80 for 3. That's not very good. Or you could do 60 for 1 if it was an evolution. The attacks weren't.
Which yeah, 60 for one on evolution is okay. It's actually like above average by a notable amount, but it's still not like that
Right.
good. There are use cases of it.
Right. A lot, but it was a lot and large. It was partly there just for the free retreat. And then, of course, later on, Miraidon Electric Generator came out. So
In the
then,
next set, I believe.
was it?
Yeah, I think,
Okay.
or next main set, I should say.
Okay. So that brought it up, obviously. When it first came out, obviously we didn't have that Miraidon Electric Generator, but we did have Flaffy. So I think we probably should have covered it. I think, and it, like I said, it saw play, so it definitely deserves, it deserves a place on the list, is what I'd say.
Yeah, I guess so. I
Oh,
mean, it's
no.
kind of weird. I feel like it's a card that like it's seen actual competitive play, but not because it's actually like good card. And it's an all right card.
It
It's not a
serves a
terrible.
role, right?
Yeah,
And
but
even now, right? If you're playing a Lightning all EX/V deck, you can take out the Mimikyu with it.
yeah, I'm actually gonna look at
Again, I don't
lists.
love that for
I
three
think most
energy.
lists are on oh, I'm looking at this. So most lists are on Mu EX now because that's just like better.
Right. And the better pivot gives you a draw. I mean, obviously,
Yeah,
it's a true
attacks.
prize is Pokemon, so that could be a negative. But look, it still sees some play, right?
I don't know.
I
I mean,
don't.
it's an okay card. I personally don't feel that bad leaving off the tier list. Um,
Yeah, look, I mean, if Miraidon was out at the time, it deserves it. I mean, look,
yeah, I
it's
feel like
low,
it's
it's
like
low end. It's like a D tier card.
it's weird. I feel like ranking it just feels kind of weird because it does have like value. It serves a role, but also
Hmm.
it's
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a tech card for a small set of decks, right? That's what it is. But some of these other cards that are on the list probably are tech cards for a small set of decks too, right? So what are you
yeah. I
raking
guess I
up?
feel like a lot of the cards in this list can kind of stand alone.
We'll
Um,
see as we go through, right?
yeah. And
And then
then
we have two trainers to me that we should have covered.
yeah, so we got Worker, draw three, discard a stadium in play. So I don't like Avery. That card rotated,
Right, because
but
it draws three and that's garbage.
yeah, no, I think it's bad. I don't think it's completely terrible, but I think it's about as good as just straight draw three. Worker is better though, notably for well, Path was in format
Right, for
and
path,
very good.
yes.
So and there wasn't lost. Oh wait, no, there was lost vacuum, but
When this came out,
yeah. So I was thinking like lost vacuum is probably better, and I think it is, but there
but
is value in Worker.
right. And, you know, I don't think people were playing Lost Vacuum a ton at that point, right?
No, but I
Maybe they should have been.
yeah.
Look, I mean, look, Avery wasn't a bad card. Part of it was people, it could hurt you when you played it too. So that's not the discussion. Look, bumping stadiums was important for Path, so it saw play, and therefore
Yeah, and it was. I'm looking through. It's mostly Gardevoir. It's. I thought it was like,
Lu-
but I knew it
didn't
was
like
mostly
Lugia
Gardevoir.
play it and stuff back in the
Not
day.
really, because you need supports to discard your Archeops and stuff.
Yeah,
It's like mostly Gardevoir. I thought
which
it
was
was.
a top deck at one point,
Yeah, I mean, it
and
still
still
probably is a
is
top tech,
yeah,
top ten,
it keeps
top.
changing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so workers on the list, what? It might even be a B tier,
B tier, I guess. I don't
right?
feel. It's like kind of a weird generic card.
It's hard to get excited about worker, right?
No, I don't really know what to say about this card. Like right now, it's not particularly good.
No,
I
it's
wouldn't
not an
really
A
choose to
tier.
play this
It's a
card.
B or a C tier though, right?
Um,
It's a high C at worst, I think,
yeah, I guess so.
just because of the play saw. So anyway, I mean, you don't want to talk about it anymore. You already feel bad having
I
said
do.
worker that many times, I think. So
Yeah.
and then the other card, which we really missed this one, I think, and
Yeah.
that's capturing aroma.
Yeah, so this card's kind of like Pokeball, but it's better. It's actually essentially
Well,
directly better than Pokeball.
it
Um,
depends. You're guaranteed to get a
yeah, well,
Pokemon.
so it's better in like almost every scenario than Pokeball. So what it does, flip a coin. If heads, search for an evolution Pokemon and put it in your hand. If tails, you got a basic.
Yeah.
The only reason it's worse than Pokeball, well, do you know what it could be worse than Pokeball?
Well, you're not guaranteed to get. You might not get. I mean, to me, you're not guaranteed to get the card. If you need either a basic or an evolution, there's no
Well,
guarantee.
but Pokeball also is not
It's a coin
guaranteed.
flip,
Yeah.
right? But if you hit it, you get anything. So go on, tell me your
It's
what your
it's
point is.
it's reunions. That's why the only case. That's literally the only
What's
situation where
that?
Pokeball is better than capturing Aroma is to get a reunion.
Oh,
Because to get if I want a like a like Archeops, right? They have a 50% chance of getting it with a Pokeball,
right.
and or I get nothing. With this, it's I either get that a 50% chance or a 50% chance that I get not that, but I could still get a basic, so it's better than getting nothing, right? Um,
Yeah,
so there's a consolation prize. Right? It's kind of like Pokeball with a consolation prize.
yeah. I mean, I guess
They're pretty good
your argument,
consolation
if you
prizes.
like, you played a all basic deck, it doesn't matter which one you play. I guess
No,
in theory.
but I don't really know why you're playing Capture Room like that.
No, I don't. Well, just right, just a limited Pokemon. Right, no, I get it. I mean, to me, the question comes down to when do you play Capturing Armor, when do you play Great Ball. That's not. No, because they're
No,
both.
yeah, I agree. I agree.
In some decks are better with one versus the other, but that's not. I don't think the discussion you want to have right now.
I think that's a fair discussion. I think that shows that it's like not that good. It's seeing a lot of play
I
in.
just rolled on with a Great Ball deck.
Yeah.
Well, no, it was a deck with if you have a deck, certain decks. I played Zoroark, Dodrio, and a few other things. And Great Ball was good because there was a bunch of Pokemon, both some basics, some evolutions, and I had multiple basics and evolutions that I would be good on a turn. In which case, Great Ball was okay with that. I was actually happy with that. Some of them, you know, it just depends what's better, right?
Yeah, but like Great Ball's not that. You'll admit it's not.
Capturing Armor is generally better.
Yeah,
Look,
well, you'll admit no, you'll admit that Great Ball isn't like a super great card. It's called Great Ball, but it's not that
it's
good.
not a yeah. Pokemon lies and right. You're not allowed to lie at a tournament and get in trouble. Pokemon just lies in the name of these cards, right?
Exactly.
It's not a great ball when you play it in this game. But
Yeah.
no, I agree. It's part of it is Great Ball was in theme deck, so you get that little nostalgia value, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
But look, we should have done Capturing Aroma though, because it was played in for one thing, it was played in Lugia, which wasn't a
Mostly
bad
Lugia,
deck,
mostly.
right? It was played like four of them.
Yeah,
was
we'll talk
Lugia
about
decks.
well, but that's weird
This is
because
part of why I don't
Lugia,
like Lugia, but we'll get to that
yeah.
soon enough.
So capturing was like good, I guess. It's like I'd say it's like C or
It's
B.
off it. Yeah, saw it. You probably B because it saw a solid amount of competitive play, right?
Well, yeah, I
And
don't think that
success.
just being a competitive card versus not a competitive card, especially with trainers. You can be because really with a trainer being um competitive isn't necessarily about being good or bad, but it's about like how good or bad are you compared to the other trainers. For example,
Hmm.
like it wasn't so good when Quick Ball was around, I don't think, because you had Quick Ball and Ultra Ball. So,
Right.
but when your best, essentially your only Pokemon search is Ultra Ball, then the next best option is Capturing Aroma, which doesn't mean it's a good card. It just means that it's the next best one,
Right.
which is
Yeah.
a substantial step down.
Well, right. When this came out, Quick Ball was in format,
Yeah.
and at the time we had like Lumineon V, and we had on play Pokemon that you're getting, right? Unlike
Yeah.
whereas Nest Ball, now we have the
Squawk.
Squawk ability, which is a you play. It's not an on play ability. So, but for on play ability Pokemon, which we still have, Capture Aroma is much better than Nest Ball.
Yeah. I mean, but it's also different.
It is.
So I mean, yeah, Capturing Aroma is like a pretty solid card.
Yeah, well, we should have covered it though.
We
I
should.
think that was our bad. And I think it's like a B. It could be a C. It's not higher or lower than those tiers.
Yeah. So now we've covered all the ones that weren't on the tier list, which I think were probably some of the most interesting ones.
Yeah, that look that we think we should have covered. There's a lot of cards that we didn't. We still didn't cover most of the cards that were printed because there's just a lot of
Like
net
not very
cards
good. Yeah.
and
There's a
stuff.
few other ones I'll quickly mention. There's an Hisuian Arcanine V. It's a card. You're like, oh, why aren't you talking about that? There you go.
Right.
There is. I'm looking at the list. We've covered most of the important ones. This is Raichu. Did we cover that? We did not. That was like sometimes put in Zoroark. There is oh, you said you want to talk about Litten.
No, we don't
We'll
need
talk
to.
about Litten, I guess, later.
Okay, no, we don't have to.
So
She's fine.
there's Miscellaneous and
You had Primal Altar you could try. I'm sure I played that in deck
yeah.
or
Oh,
two.
there's
That's awesome
the
play.
Amoonguss that like counters hand trimmers. Uh
And the best card of all, which we didn't talk
oh
about, we're
yeah.
not going to, and that's Quadstone.
Yeah, Quadstone. This actually has seen some competitive play, believe it or not. But it's bad.
So what this does, just if you just you can use 4 Quadstones at once. If you don't do 4 at once, it doesn't do anything.
No, it does.
No.
It heals
So
10.
if you play 1, it heals 10.
So technically there's Valiant Guard for it, which is like
Yeah,
but
and
it's
if you
like
play
kind of
4, it heals all damage from each of your Pokemon. But you got to get all 4 in your hand at one time, and that's pretty not much happening.
yeah. Also, it clarifies this effect works one time for 4 cards, as opposed to 4 times for 4 cards. But it doesn't matter because it heals all the damage anyway. So that's
But you
good.
can
So
use it more than once in a game, right? If you had a
yeah,
control deck with your Silene like 8 times and all that, you could keep doing it, right?
yeah, I do. I've been tempted to make that deck.
Anyway.
Oh, Hisuian Braviary. There's this one. This is
Oh
cool.
yeah, yeah. Which is a stage 1. I think this might have been in your spread deck. I don't remember.
No, it was in your spread deck.
Okay, attacks for free, 3 damage counters each opponent's Pokemon that has damage counters on it. So, but
Yeah, it was displayed in Sarina. EX, which is not the best deck, but
Oh, that it was in the starter deck, right? As well or no?
oh, that's probably which one?
The Bravery?
Yeah, no, which starter deck was it? I think it
The,
was.
the, the Superior V-Star starter deck,
Okay,
right?
yeah, I
Which is
guess
one of the Pokemon we're going to get
We're gonna
to.
talk about. So anyway, so I think let's go to the tier list. Let's talk about D tier.
Okay.
So the cards, we're just gonna read them off. You have Unknown V Star, Meowstic, Crobat, Armaldo, Lance, Regenerative Energy, and Furisode Girl. Do you know any of these cards?
I don't remember what they do, honestly.
Okay, so
I know Regenerative Energy, right? It heals 30 when you attack.
no,
or
that's
20? Or is it the one that heals when you evolve?
yeah, this is the one that heals when you evolve to like your V.
It's only for V.
This one is really terrible. I don't remember. I forget the name of the one that heals 30 on play. I'm actually gonna.
That one might have been a later one. So the regenerative energy,
Manifold
right? So
energy.
it provides more colorless energy, and then when you play it, a Pokemon from your hand to evolve your V, so to a V Star or V Max, then you heal 100 damage. So in theory, it could do something.
It's not playing like Lugia a little, but
Okay.
it's not very good.
Yeah, I mean for colorless Lugia, where they just need a bunch of special energies, and if you happen to have it in hand, it was nice.
Yeah, I think most of these cards aren't really worth talking about.
No.
Unknown V Star is kind of funny. I don't know, it's not really worth talking about. And so I think they're all probably like bad. there are different levels of bad. The one that is worth talking about is Lance, though. This one's the one that is a supporter that lets you search for 3 dragon Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And with the next set, oh, I should have mentioned, I just did my video on 10 cards to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
Lance should probably be on that. Lance, with it searches for 3 dragon Pokemon and Dragapult EX, or Regidrake, right? You like,
Which is in the set we're gonna.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's like, it has some value there.
Right. So basics, evolution. So yeah, I mean it's the only way you can get 3 like with like V stars and all that kind of stuff, right? EXs
Well, there was
right now in standard.
oh yeah, because there was Adventurer's Discovery from
But that was only V's.
well V's, well, it could be V stars and V Max.
But it had to be a V. Whereas Lance can be dragons, but you could because like Regidrago plays some single prize dragon Pokemon. It plays obviously the V Star, and it also has EXs. So Lance is right now. Lance would be better, right, as a supporter.
Yeah, especially because it's in format.
Well, even
No,
but
yeah.
if the other was in format too, Lance would be better.
Yeah, so I think Lance is like all right. It's not very good now, but with the next set, I think it'll be all right.
I mean, it might move up to C tier, right? If you're making a tier list, I don't think
I mean, it could be up to like high because Dragapult's really good.
it
It's
is.
gonna see a lot of play.
And I guess are they playing Lance in Japan?
Because
You know?
yeah, they
I
are.
don't- okay.
Here, I pulled. So this is some Japanese
Yeah, I see all
tournaments.
this Japanese writing I can't
Um,
read due to my
Uh,
ignorance.
illiteracy.
Yes. So
So in Dragapult, because there's obviously the Dragapult, the basic and the stage 2 are Dragon. But
Yeah.
the stage 1, which has the same ability as Pidgeotto, is also that's good. So you can actually get value out of that.
Mhm.
So essentially gets your attacker, your basic, and your draw engine, kind of. So
Yeah.
it's really good. Or potentially really good. It's not insane, but it is worth playing, definitely.
mhm.
So that could move up, but whatever.
Yeah.
Now we got C tier. We got a big mess of Pokemon here, so I'm just gonna go down the list real quick. We got Radiant Serena, we got Superior V-Star, we got Altaria, Anorith, Incineroar, Radiant Jirachi, the 4 Swords of Justice, the 4 is 1 Pokemon, Earth and Sealstone, Ursaluna V, the 4 like Pikachu combo deck. I don't remember the name of it, or if
Yeah.
there's an official name. We got Gardevoir, the one that discards 1 draw 2.
Yeah. Well,
Warlord, Reshiram V, Omastar V, and Unknown V. Those are not very good, mostly.
but some of them are, right? We need to
Yes.
kind of talk about some of them, right?
Yes.
Like Radiant Serena, that's the one that reduces from V's by 20, right?
No, that's Radiant.
Oh, this is the one that heals?
Gardevoir.
Or wait, this is the one that draws 4?
No, that's the one that heals. That heals 20 from each of your Pokemon
Yeah.
starting each turn.
So-
And that one's pretty good. That one's pretty like solid.
Yeah, definitely saw play and can sit into things. We've had that at the top of C tier. Maybe that's correct.
Yeah, I feel like it's
Honestly,
better
it's
than
better
like,
than
all
most of the
other ones in
of
here.
the ones in here. So it should probably be in B tier.
Yeah.
Some of the other ones are better than you think. The Superior V Star that was a starter deck, right? I think
Yeah.
from last year. I think
I mean, the most recent set of starters.
it's a starter deck right now.
I believe so.
Okay, I don't remember it. I was.
I could be.
check
I
it.
honestly don't remember.
And that was one of the weaker,
so.
probably the weakest of the starter decks, I think, and a tricky one to play, and a weirdly built deck. But it's not bad. It's for a V Star, it's not that good.
I think it's played as a tech for Charizard now. That's why it would be played.
Well, it does 190 for 3.
Yeah, which is all right. It's like an okay card. It has free retreat. It moves energy around.
Mm-hmm.
So it has It's like kind of interesting, but it's just not very good.
Yeah, I mean the V Star attack was interesting. Starwinder 60 per energy attached to this Pokemon, doesn't matter what type, and then it switches to your bench, so a hit and run attack.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But it's not like super powerful, and
No,
it's like kind of weird.
no, it belongs in C tier.
Yeah,
What else do you want to talk about? Look, I know you're a hater on the Radiant Jirachi.
yeah.
But it's
I think it's all right. I mean, the issue with the Radiance is obviously the best ones are just so much better than the
Yeah,
the,
it's
like,
not
they
very
push out the worst ones.
universal, right? Let me see.
I guess Radiant Jirachi. I mean, it's attacks 2 colorless and a double coin flip, instant knockout,
Right.
which is just like weird. And then if you're knocked out, you search for 3 cards. But Radiant Jirachi is actually really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was I underrated this for a while, or I thought it was worse because of Path,
Right.
which turns off the ability and it's like a reactive ability or whatever. It's
Right.
helps on your opponent's turn, so they can Path it.
Right, but they can't now. But right, there were decks that you'd play it just to kind of put it out there in the active and if your opponent was always scared to hit into it. So, look, it saw play. So, again, I think it's better than a lot of these other Pokemon, the Radiant Jirachi. Um, what else do you want to talk about here? Anything
I
else?
guess we'll talk. I feel like we should kind of. I don't know. I was just say talk about all of them. That's not really. So let's see. The Pikachu
Again,
clone. They're the Pikachu ones. They're bad, right? That's the.
that was the one where it was a series of attacks, right? A sequence of
Yeah,
three, right? And the last one, you had an option of two different attacks, I think.
yeah. And the last one or the last like two or whatever, they were like all right. But the first one, the setup ones were pretty terrible. Um,
Yeah, so it was like a meme deck that they
yeah,
printed that was never really good.
yeah. And then the Swords of Justice, I think we talked about as well. So there's some interesting stuff. So Terrakion now, do you want to talk more about that, or do you think we talked about
I
it?
think we talked about it enough. Like I said, I don't. You could use it with Claydol. That's what it was
You
meant to
could, yeah.
do. But
Well, it was meant to be also part of the Swords deck, kind of.
okay.
So
But
because it's
so
required.
okay, I never played the Swords deck. I mean, the Cobalion now, that's the one that sees play now, right?
Yeah. So Cobalion. Yeah, you want to say what it does?
Yeah, because so Cobalion, it's got the ability to justify law. Your basic attacks do 30 more to your opponent's active darkness Pokemon. So that's in can be in decks that are to do 30 more to Charizard EX in particular.
Yeah. And interestingly,
Because I was playing Cloth Electrode, so this is one of the things that go in that.
yeah,
So
and partially because of weakness, it's instead of 30, it's 60 more,
right.
because it's before weakness. So that's pretty interesting. It's like it's good. It also has a usable attack, honestly. Follow up for two colors, it does 30 and choose up to two your bench Pokemon. For each of those
Hmm.
Pokemon, search your deck for basic energy and attach it to them, which is not bad.
Right. It's not good in
Um,
your Cloth deck, which only plays
no, it's
special energies. But
not good
yes,
there.
if yeah, it could have value in that regard too.
And yeah, I think this card's like it's I don't know. It's obviously not on its own a very good card though.
No, I mean honestly, it's kind yeah, especially in obviously Charizard wasn't around at the time. I mean, honestly, in one sense, these probably it's like a D tier on its own, probably,
I
right?
yeah, but
So
then Verzian, I guess there's Keldeo, but Verzian does 70 for one grass. So if you have two Cobalions and then wait, no, if you have three Cobalions, I'm trying to think. I don't know. You can one shot charge over this technically.
wait, if
Um,
Cabal because if the other three were on your bench, then it did 90 for one.
yeah, but then it's up to 120. So if you have three Cobalions, a Traken, and a Keldeo on your bench, I think you one shot charge out for one energy.
Oh,
Um,
because then you're doing 30, 60, 90 more.
yeah. Um,
But honestly, but the set of four, if Virizion was that the best attacker in the bunch?
Well, there's the Keldeo that was 3 energy, so you could ride there, like you could attack with it. It did 220 for three, which is like all right.
Yeah, that's okay. Because the problem is if outside of weakness, the Virizion doing 90, and you have to get all these Pokemon to play, which means you don't really have an engine, much space for engine and stuff. That's not good, right? 190 for one energy, 90 for one energy is not good enough, I
I
would
mean, it's
say.
okay. You played Hoopa. That was
But
literally
I
just
had other attackers in the deck. What do you what's the big damage? I guess the lightning, the Keldeo, right? I guess it's the big damage guy,
what the water. Yeah,
the water one. But you have to get three energies onto it.
yeah.
So
Anyway,
anyway,
so that deck wasn't so good. I think
no.
that's pretty bad. Incineroar, that one copied the previous evolution. This one we had a lot of nostalgia for
Hmm.
from the Empoleon from the theme deck,
Right,
and it's different. It's very different.
right. It wasn't good, right? The entire
No,
we could have put it
but
on tier D.
yeah, but with Incineroar EX, the previous evolutions actually are seeing play now. The
Right
Litten
now
and
the
the
Litten
Torracat.
on the Torcat as well.
Yeah.
So right, so now like to me the Litten certainly and maybe the Torcat are better than Incineroar right now because the Litten has the reprisal attack because now we have the Incineroar EX. Now you have to have Relicanth in play to copy the attack, but it has higher HP.
With the EX, not the single
The
person.
EX does, right? So if you have the EX in play and you can rare Candy to copy the basic one, the reprisal does 20 per damage counter on its Pokemon. So in being an EX, hopefully you're not getting one shot, and so you're doing big damage, uh, like two turns in a row.
Yeah. And then the Torracat gives you essentially. So there's actually a Torracat loop deck. I played against this deck. Or did I play against it? I don't know. But Gritty Claws,
Hmm.
It does 40 for 2 fire, but during your opponent's next turn, if this Pokemon has full HP and would be knocked out from an attack, damage from an attack,
Mm-hmm.
it is not knocked out, its HP becomes 10.
Right.
And so then you can go ahead and use Oricorio. Do you know it? I think Paldea evolved.
No.
Which like heals. It's kind of like a Radiant Serena, but it heals. Oh yeah, 20 from your active evolution Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
And then so you can just do this forever.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I remember. Yeah. Now you're bringing back like flashbacks
I feel like
of
this wasn't
things.
really played.
I remember playing up against that, and then at some point, once your opponent was set up, you just had to quit
Yeah, but of
because
course,
I
if you have
couldn't
any
knock
effect of
them
an
out.
attack, or yeah, pretty much, or if you like poison, like if you poison them, they just die. So yeah. So there are lots of ways to get by this, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah, yeah. It was again. The Torcat was a meme deck of it on its
Yeah.
own.
Um,
Anyway, so like I said, we didn't cover the basic in the stage one. Maybe we could have.
yeah, and then there's a few cards. So there's Ursaluna V. I think that's probably C tier's fine, because
I don't remember what that one does. I'm
it
trying to
like
look it up.
tanks. It was played in control a little.
Okay,
Um,
30 less damage.
and yeah, and it's 230 HP, so that's pretty bulky. And then a few cards on this list reference Vs, a good chunk.
Yeah.
And Vs, this was the last set of Vs, so the format had only Vs, no EXs, no GXs
Right.
at the time, so these would have been better. Earth and Steel Stone is the one I'm looking at. That
Mhm.
probably wouldn't have been so good, but still.
Yeah. Wait, what? Earth and Stone Seal wasn't as good?
Steel Stone, yeah. I mean, it would have been better then than it is now,
Right.
but
And it saw some play, right? Was it in?
you could do like Urshifu with it.
I know it saw some play. I know.
I don't think it
I
saw
didn't
some
like
play.
it. I know some people played it in some things. I'm pretty sure.
Sure, not Sky Sailstone. You're not thinking of Sky Sailstone.
Maybe I am. Okay, maybe I'm
Earth and
confused.
Sailstone is the attacking. There's 3 V-star power
Oh yeah,
pools.
yeah.
This is the
I'm
attacking
confused
one. It's
with
like the
that.
worst one.
Any of the other cards? I mean, you want to mention? We should mention the Gardevoir, right?
Yeah.
I don't have it called up here.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
trying.
you know what it does.
I
It
forget.
does the same thing as Curlia.
Oh, it
So
draws. Is it draw two or draw
just
three?
draw 2
So it's Curlia.
on a stage 2.
Yeah, and it doesn't have a great attack.
It is a pretty underwhelming attack.
Right. So it's more HP than Curlia and more damage. Same two energies again. Does 120 now. So you didn't really play Gardevoir in the Gardevoir deck.
No, there's
So I don't know that it was really used.
no. It's weird though because obviously with the Curlia, it's like irrelevant essentially. But
Yeah.
I understand it's not like a terrible card.
No, it was better just to play the stage one.
Yeah. Um.
I mean, there's the Omastar. Was that here?
Yeah, OSRV. Yeah.
So that one, which um, has call it up here. So primordial guidance for 1 energy. You search your deck for 2 Pokemon that evolve from an item that has fossil in it, and put them onto your bench, right? And this had multiple cards that evolved from fossils, right? This set,
Yeah, I
right?
had the Anorith, which we skipped over because it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't. Altera was also in the Superior V-Star starter deck.
Yes.
Did you say that?
No. Did
Okay.
you want to talk about that?
No, I was like, oh, that's
Altair was interesting, I guess.
it's a pretty interesting card. There was another Altaria, but it rotated.
Yeah. So you could use Omastar to get some cards that evolve from fossils and
Yeah,
play.
I've seen Omastar Archeops instead of Lugia Archeops.
Right. Because you can do it multiple times, whereas Lugia, they have that vulnerability of if they take out your Archeops, you ain't getting them back.
Yeah. Oh, and then all this just quickly, I'm gonna mention Unknown V. It's like not good. But it's a funny card. It has a unique victory screen in live. Well, it's a unique text. So
Right. I mean, yeah, if victory symbol, if you use this attack when you have only one prize card remaining, you win this game. So people have done it, obviously.
I don't say. I'm not sure if I say obviously.
Well, they have.
It's pretty hard to
Somebody's
do.
done it. I don't know.
It's pretty like
I know in the Discord server someone had posted, "Hey, I did it." So I
yeah.
was like, "Great!" And then I was also like, "But then would you have just won the game anyway? Because you're down. It's not if your opponent's to one prize. Then this would actually be very good, right?
Yeah.
But you're down to one prize. So all you need to do is attack and knock out anything, and you win the game anyway. So instead, you have to get 3 on this V. It's more of a silly thing than anything else.
Yeah. Let's move to B tier now. So I'm just going to quickly read through all the cards,
Yeah.
and I'll say which ones you want to talk about.
Yeah.
So we got Ariados, Maul V-Star, Ho-Oh-V, Radiant Alakazam, and by the way, the tier list is like kind of ordered, but Regieleki V and VMAX, Braixen, Delphox, Dragonite, Leafy Camel Poncho, V-Guard Energy, Sunflora, Jinx, Rapidash, Klinklang, and Magearna. I'll say quickly the bad ones. Magearna, not good. Theoretically, you could play it in like Metal Saucer.
Shouldn't have been B
Okay.
tier, right? We were
No.
wrong on that.
Yeah. Um, I think potentially it has some value, but not that much. Klinklang, not good.
Yeah,
Not,
shouldn't have,
not, not terrible.
but
It's
it's
like a
not B
funny
tier,
card.
right?
No, that's like the definition of like kind of a funny card. Jinx is outclassed by a number of different cards, so it's just not really good enough.
Yeah,
Not inherently a terrible card, but
right.
Sunflora, good against Charizard. I guess it's a card I
Is
kind of
it?
want to cook with. I mean, it's grass and it attacks, so it's
So it beats Charizard. So it just beats Charizard by definition, right?
yeah. I mean, it does enough to one-shot them.
You may discard up to 3 energy from your hand. It does 70 per energy you discarded.
Yeah,
So it can do 220 on a single
it's a
prize,
pretty
stage one.
It's
You
an
need 2 energies though.
yeah.
Well, you can pay with double turbo, then you do a little less damage. But okay.
Rapidash is kind of interesting. Powers up fire Pokemon. Do you want to say more about Rapidash? You like fire,
Yeah. Wait. No.
or like
What's Rapidash do?
it's the same as Volcano EX. You discard a fire from your hand. You do 30 more this turn.
I'll say first off, the ones we mentioned before, like Radiant Serena, is definitely above all of them, and maybe even Superior
Yeah,
V-Star.
Superior is Radiant
Radiant
Jirachi.
Jirachi, and maybe even a couple more of these ones. Radiant, like Serena, goes above them. We're not gonna figure it out exactly.
No. Yeah.
So Rapidash, I gotta look it up because I don't remember what it does.
Yeah, I just said it does. You discard the fire from your hand. You do 30 more.
Oh yeah, it's out of stage one.
Yeah.
Obviously it doesn't help you draw, which is you need a lot of other pieces, right? So I guess what would played it in Entei maybe because I like
Entei,
fire, I like
Gouging Fire.
Entei.
Because that can then you can one shot
Oh, that's
anything.
true. I didn't play it in Gouging Fire.
Oh.
Because you're doing 260, and
There's
then,
also
well,
Moltres, which is a basic. You do 10 more. So in a lot of scenarios,
Right.
I mean, it's just way easier.
Moltres is with your fire attacker, right? Any fire Pokemon.
Might be basic fire. Is
Might be
Rapidash
basic.
basic? I don't think Rapidash
Might
isn't
be.
basic.
Rapidash is not. The Moltres, I think, is. Now that you mention it.
Yeah, but
So Rapidash. All right, making this a note for video ideas. That's good. That's
yeah.
why
I might do Sunflower. I was thinking of doing that at some point. But
Okay. So, yeah, it's look. I like fire decks, and I never really played Rapidash. That's what else, and I think that's kind of representative of its ability. I mean, I probably played it a little bit now that you say that, but getting a stage because a stage one, I need basic, and I need a stage one. I have bench. It's deck space. It's bench space. It makes the deck a little bit worse. So does it help enough to overset that? I'm not so sure. Right.
yeah, and then
It's better than like the other 4 we said before in this tier, though.
yeah, and then I think
In what you said, what about like the breaks-in and stuff?
Braixen was pretty solid in Zoroark. Delphox was not. Delphox is like kind of weird. It evolves from Braixen, but it's a stage 2, and Braixen was played in Zoroark, so they need to play Serena. So there's some like kind of weird dynamics going on.
Right, you
there.
can make a Serena breaks-in deck, right? It does 60 per Serena card in your discard pile. So Serena was good, and we'll get to that. It was okay.
Yeah.
And you like to play it, and then getting them in the discard pile. So then you're doing at least like 180 or something, or more. So
Yeah,
it was a fun little single prize kind of memeish deck.
Yeah, well, but it was a main attacker in Zoroark. It was like because it just does good damage.
Mhm.
So I feel like it's a pretty solid card. I think B's solid, fair for Braixen. Delphox probably not so much. I think V-Guard energy in B is fair. And
I think V-Guard obviously saw play in multiple decks.
mostly Lugia. But it's not like insanely good in Lugia.
But in
Just,
like Giratina V-Star too, or Arceus, especially to avoid the things that hit 280.
yeah,
Like
maybe it's better than I think.
because Giratina V-Star obviously has the 2 attacks, but the attack they want to stream does 280. So if you get your Arceus or whatever, they don't get one shot. You force them to take the second attack, which they can only do once. Of course,
Yeah.
in the game. So
And if it's Arceus V-Star, then probably they can't really do it at all.
right, if it's Lost Zone Giratina, Lost Tina, then they can do it once, but they can. Yeah, so it had value.
So I think Leafy Camera Poncho, this one stopped, I don't know. I know it stopped Boss on the bench. It's an even play. I think B's fair. I think it's underplayed. I don't remember exactly. It's like your
It only
V
is
stars
your.
and V maxes
Is
can't
that
be.
what it is? It's V stars and it's not just V maxes.
No. So this will stop Boss and
Serena,
yeah, Serena.
supporter, not prime catcher or counter catcher.
No, it'll stop. If there's a sport that like gets rid of energy, it'll stop that.
Oh, and any supporter that affects it.
Yeah, see it was played in your favorite deck, Wheezing Crobat. Played what is this card?
Oh yeah,
Leaf Camera.
right. Because your
it-
Crobat retreated to the bench and you couldn't afford that Crobat to get knocked out.
yeah.
And it is in Superior V Star starter deck, and it all comes back to that, which is what we really want to harp on, right?
Yeah. So this card was all right. I think it's
Yeah.
underplayed, but there's a lot of lost game. And then um Regieleki VMAX, right? This is a card you want to talk about a bunch, I think.
I mean I like it. I enjoyed Miraidon. Still, I haven't played Miraidon in a
I
while.
feel like you didn't play it that much. Did you?
It was my go-to ladder for a set, maybe two sets, to grind, to do quick moving up, to get wins in live, just to get quick wins on the rank ladder.
Hmm.
Because the games were quick. Because you'd set up, if you set up, you won fast. Because you'd take a multi-prize knockout turn one, and your opponent would concede usually.
Yeah. I
Um,
guess, yeah. Oh, because that was something like live was just so bad. People would just like
Partly.
quit all the time. I don't exactly remember what
Well,
happened.
as we get towards Lugia, which I think we misranked that slightly, um, live was horrible back when this came out.
Yeah, and PCGO was pretty bad. It was like split.
But
Um,
let's get to that one, Lugia. I want to talk about live with Lugia because that's all you saw was Lugia here.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Regieleki, what it does, and then the V. Do we have the V? Okay, I have the V and the V Max next to each other.
Yeah.
Which may be fair. So the VMAX has free retreat, which is good. And again, Flaffy Electric Generator, you need a pivot. And it had the transistor ability. Your basic lightning Pokemon's attacks do, what, 30 more?
Yeah.
So Miraidon, you had Raikou, Raichu. You still have those. You still have Regieleki VMAX. So it's still decent. The attack does 220. You can't attack again, but that's, 220 is not terrible. And then you also have the Regieleki V, which you could attack with itself, and I like that. You didn't like that one as much.
I thought it was interesting, but
there were times it was the better attacker. It did Lightning Wall did 100, and of course then as a basic you'd get 30 added to it from the VMAX.
yeah. Or it could stack, so you could do even more.
Right.
Potentially. Probably not based on your line.
You might get two on the bench.
Yeah. Well, you need at least a 3-2 line because you have the V in the active attacking as well as
And the V and the E, right, and you play Miraidon because that helps you set up, and you probably have a Raikou or Raichu or some combination of those two.
But anyway,
Anyway, so Regieleki V did 100 for 3, and then you took 100 less damage from attacks the following turn. So on a 200 HP Pokemon, it took 300 to one shot a two prizer, which is a lot of HP, quote HP for a two prize Pokemon.
yeah, it'd be crazy if a two prizer had like 300 something HP.
Well, that was a stage 2 though.
Yeah.
Don't forget this is a basic.
Yeah. So yeah, that was good. Arguably A tier, I think, but
Both those. So,
yeah,
and certainly.
like Rhino wasn't out, so
Right, we had Flappy, but Miraidon wasn't out, and that really made it a lot better, as did Electric Generator. So I think
Yeah.
we were fair with where we put it in B.
Yeah.
It moved up after.
yeah, and then Radiant Alakazam, I think we put perfectly in B as a perfect B card.
Yeah, it certainly sees some play. I was playing it again today. It's a tricky card too, I will say.
Yeah, definitely.
For me, maybe if you don't, but it moves 2 damage counters. It's Painful Spoon's ability moves 2 damage counters up to 2 from one of your opponent's Pokemon to another one. So you've got to know from the very beginning of the game where those damage counters need to go and how the prize map's going. What you need to almost know in your head what you're doing the whole game and what your opponent's going to do before you move your first damage counters. Otherwise, half the time I move them. Sometimes you move them back again, and that doesn't feel good.
No, this is I played, as I said, Spinda, I mentioned earlier. I played Radiant Alakazam. I think I said it was the hardest deck I've ever played, and I think I stand by that. It was absurd. It was really fun, but like so difficult. Then we got Ho-V. I don't think I was the one who put it up this high. I know I have hot takes, so I don't think.
You think you're blaming this on me? Well, don't listen back to the podcast or whatever it was. So Yeah, that one we misplaced, right? It's not that high. So, all right, what's it do again? I'm
It
looking
like
through.
accelerates to itself. It's like how EX from expanded, but it accelerates to itself, and then your
Mm,
like turn ends, but it does like a ton of energy.
it's 4 energy,
Um,
right?
yeah,
It's
and then
of different types,
I mean they
though.
can be the same type. So you could run this in different things. You could run it with Thornton. There was some like weird stuff.
Hmm.
Um, some people were hyping this card up like so much. I don't think I was hyping this card up
So
that much.
maybe. I mean, it was a good look because you could do it your first turn, right? You had to
You
get
could
the energy.
accelerate the first turn, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Then it ends.
and you'd end your turn, so you wanted to do it your first
Yeah,
turn,
you
going
like have to
first,
do it your first turn.
because otherwise you're not attacking. So the idea was you could get a whole bunch of energy on the Ho-Oh, and then you could do something the next turn. Generally, it wasn't to attack with the Ho-Oh, right? So I'm sure I tried it with Blissey V. I'm sure I did.
With like Thornton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you could do some Dark RV stuff. There's some things, but it wasn't very good.
No,
Um,
so that was a. I mean, honestly, see, that might even be a D tier, right? To be
Maybe,
honest, right?
but it's not a detail. It's probably Mawile V-Star. Mawile V-Star, I think it's a cool V-Star. Its ability is, I believe it's Guzma. So that's like pretty cool, and it's not exactly Guzma, but it's pretty close. Or Prime
Hmm.
Catcher, and then your attack. If you switch into the active, you do 180 or 160 with double turbo. You do have a little low HP. It's 260 here, but I think it's an interesting attacker. It
Hmm.
also is not weak to darkness for now. Or now, like that matters.
Right, it's weak to metal, which is a good weakness to have.
Yeah. So I think it's a cool card. It didn't really see like any play at all. I don't think I've ever seen anyone play this.
Because the attack does only 180, right? And you have to swing into the active, which means you're probably using your V-Star power. And oh, by the way, don't use your Arceus V-Star power because that wouldn't be good.
Well, no, I mean it's a gust. It's you don't.
But it's not as good as Guzma because you have to gust Mawile V-Star in the
Yeah,
active,
you have to switch it in. Yeah.
and that's not your best attacker.
No.
Probably, right? You probably want to gust up your opponent, and you probably want to attack with not
Well,
Mawile,
yeah, you
right?
could retreat Mawile. It's not that. Anyway, so
So anyway, so where do you think we placed it properly?
no, I mean
You
I
think
think
it's
it's an
too
all right. I think
high?
it's underplayed.
Oh, and this
I
was
just put
second, our number two card in the B tier. So
yeah
we were
behind
thinking
my
between.
number one card, Ariados. Ariados broken card. It actually was all right. I think it could have been all right. It increases attack cost of V stars. This was the last set of V stars. And this does not stack, but this is like brutal to Arceus. Like imagine you play this, your opponent's running Arceus, they just like
Yeah.
lose. Or like I don't know if they just lose, but it's pretty rough. Um,
I mean, they need a fourth energy, right? In that
yeah,
case, or
but
what?
they need like extra energy the whole game as well. So and they can accelerate, but it's awkward. Palkia was popular. There are a lot of popular V stars at the time.
Right. But it really didn't see any play, did it?
No,
So look, the top three cards of B tier, we swung and missed big
yeah,
time.
they were being hopeful.
Yeah, we were
Uh,
thinking, oh, these could be fun cards. That yeah, we were rating on hope, not
yeah,
on true potential. So
yeah, and potentially in hope here, we did not put Lugia and Archeops in the highest tier. I will say part of this I wanted to judge them kind of separately, which doesn't really make any sense.
no, because then they're not A tier.
No, so I want to mix and match. It was like it's what if we like take into account them separately, take them into account together, but that doesn't really make any sense.
Right.
So yeah, you want to talk about live and PTGO.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll let you talk about PTGO because you kept playing PTGO longer than I did. But
Mhm.
live beta went global right, I think like a week or two after this set dropped, I believe is what happened.
That sounds about right.
And if you had paid attention to what was happening in live, it wasn't good. So you had the option when you opened up when you went into live to migrate your account, which meant you couldn't play PTGO anymore or not migrate your account. And like you and I, we opened live, but we didn't migrate our accounts because we weren't sure what was going to happen, and we certainly went back to PTCGO at times as well. So all you had was the start, like whatever the starter decks were, and the what was on the ladder, and the free ladder deck was Lugia V Star, which just happened to probably be the best deck in format at the
Yeah,
time. It should have been S tier, so we're bad about that. But all you saw in live, basically, because nobody had any cards yet, all you basically was all Lugia mirrors all day on live.
yeah, and
For
Lugia,
like I said, it came out like 2 weeks, available to everyone like 2 weeks after uh, the set came out. So you had almost 3 months of Lugia mirrors.
yes, and some of you may know that Lugia V Star is, in my opinion, I don't think this is a hot take. It's not a very fun deck to play. because the attackers are like really good, especially this time you had Aurora energy, so there was a single prizer that would instantly one shot anything, and then there was another single prizer that would like do like absurd spread damage. There are two Raikou, they're the amazing bears.
Right.
And then there was Stoutland V, which is kind of like Iron Hands EX. It was worse, but it wasn't like it would get the job done. Then there was Lugia V Star, but which is 220. We could buff it to one shot anything.
Yeah, power, right. The cards that were lost were a factor, but the energies we had in the format were, I think, the bigger deal, right? We had powerful energy, which buffed this, and then we had for every type of energy. I think there's some special energies.
Powerful colorless energy was one of the typed energies as well.
Oh, because it was colorless.
Yeah, it was the colorless energy.
Okay.
If you look anyway, so this was good, and then in PCGO, like the format, it didn't rotate. The Scarlet and Violet cards never.
This was the last set ever released into
PCGO, I think.
Although I don't
know if Crown Zenith was released.
Oh, Crown Zenith probably was. I think you might be right.
But anyway, so it was the last main set. So pretty much everyone was just like this was the best deck. It wasn't a fun deck. The meta was like absurd. There were the top three decks. Well, the top two were just absurd. It was this deck and then Lost Zone with Scoop Up Nest. So you could turn one Mirage Gate. And then there was Mew V Max, which obviously it's a very good deck. And then there was I think the fourth best deck was like Reggie or something. It was pretty out there. But anyway, these were good. But then they fell off with the rotation, like pretty hard. And they haven't been
really. Well, because the colored energies were lost. So then you had like single strike, right? Lugia probably was the better one. Yeah. You could have done Rapid Strike, but that really wasn't done.
Or you could do like colorless.
And colorless was a bit of a thing. As well, because I think the powerful survived that 1 year.
Well, no, because all the type energies rotated.
Oh, that's right. You said that's not. It was a type. Yeah. So it fell off a lot.
And it fell off again with the rotation, I guess, kind of. I mean, it lost more of the special energies. So with the next set, it's actually going to get better. There's some interesting stuff. I'd say it's been like a fringe, somewhere like top 5, like just outside the top 5 to just outside the top 10, which isn't like bad.
No, it's pretty
solid.
It's playable.
But I definitely feel like it's not. I don't think it has to be an S tier.
It should have been an S tier at the time, though.
Yeah, it was S tier.
Now I will say this. I don't like the deck. It's not a deck. I don't like a deck like this, and this probably is partly. And I think you might be the same, but I'll talk first. And this has partly hurt why I rated it down some. If you set up, it's amazing. It's still very good now if you set up. It's still, if you set up on turn 2 with 2 air gaps in play, it's a top 5 deck, I think, easily. The thing is, you don't, like half the time, you probably don't set up. And then what do you do? Because then if you put 1 air gaps in play, you're not in a really good spot. Or you just don't put any in play. And then you're just hope to hang on a little bit, right? So it's very hit or miss. It's very high roll. It sets up amazing, but it doesn't always set up.
Yeah. And then we have 2 more cards in A tier here. And then let's just say all the cards in A and S. So A, we got Force Seal Stone, Olin Vulpix V-Star. S, we have Serena, Kirlia, Regidrago V-Star. I think let's just get a Kirlia S tier, I think.
Kirlia's S tier.
Really in Gardevoir, but also even
it was a good engine.
Good, yeah.
So
a little weird. It was kind of overshadowed by Chichino at first, but
whatever. Made Malamar better.
It did, I suppose.
But yeah, so Kirlia's S tier, Lugia Archeops, yes, because obviously Kirlia is still very good, right?
Yeah. Regidrago V-Star.
Well, then I think there's another S tier. I think. And I think it's Force
Regidrago. Oh, yeah.
No, it's not Regidrago.
Yeah, no, Force Seal Stone, really good. It's like definitely the best tool in the game, I think.
Right now?
I'm trying to think, but I can't really. I think
obviously V's are less of a thing though.
I mean, it's a little different because it uses your once per game V-Star power, but
right. So if you play a V, there's a good chance to play a V-Star that has a better V-Star power, right?
I guess.
Or you don't play a V, right? It's the best tool, like in Charizard EX, where you play like a Lumineon V or something like that. It's the best tool for a deck that plays Lumineon V.
Yeah. I mean, it's the best in Rotom V. It's really good, and I'm scrolling through the deck. It's good in a lot of decks. And it was really good in Mew V Max, right? It was absurdly good in Mew V Max.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the best tool. We have an A-Spec tool and stuff. Anyway.
Yeah, but I think this is better. It lets you switch the deck front. Anyway, so for Steelstone though, S tier.
I think those 4 S tier. None of the others are S tier.
Yeah. So Serena, I will say, I think at the time Serena was S tier. But for one set, because V stars were essentially, wait, what's it do?
Well, all we had
Gust
were
Vs,
V. It gusted a V, or you discarded up to 3 in cards.
and then drew up to 5.
Right, you had to discard at least 1, I think.
Yeah.
Right, which was good. So it gave a nice option. It was a boss, and basically most decks were V decks. So, but you also could draw cards. So that was good. No, it was good. I'm not sure if it was S tier.
I think it was. Boss
A
was
tier.
S tier, right? Boss was S tier.
Yeah.
And it was essentially better than Boss most of the time.
Yeah, except against Reggie's.
Well, yeah, but Reggie's, it didn't matter. You probably wanted to, it didn't really matter what you had.
So it was, yeah. Maybe it was S tier, but it was only S tier for briefly, and then once the EXs came out, it fell off.
Yeah, I think it probably had the hardest fall off of any.
It was like, I mean, when's the last time you played Serena?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right, I don't know either. So anyway,
it was good at the time for one set.
Yeah, and it was still saw some play for a while too, right? As the EXs kind of took time to come in. So, okay, I mean, it could be S tier. And then we have. Let's talk Alolan Vulpix first. That's a little simpler.
Yeah, Alolan Vulpix 3-star. This one is pretty good. I definitely think A tier is a solid ranking for it.
Yeah.
Its attack does a decent amount at 160 for 3. It doesn't have a beast to power, has low HP, it has some different things going on, but
you could one-shot UV Max for no energy.
Yes, usually.
Assuming they set up, which they probably did.
But they can also hold off. Anyway, so the idea, it walls a Pokemon with abilities though, and it does get through effects, which is
still it's more meaningful now than then, right? Now that Mimikyu's in form.
Yeah, well, in some ways it's bad that it hits through effects. I guess it's because Mew EX.
Oh, okay. They two-shot you, but yeah.
Yeah. So this is good. It walls off a lot of things. It walled off a lot of things back then.
Well, you're immune to damage from Pokemon with abilities, right?
Oh, yes.
You said that. So a deck like Charizard EX isn't bad with Pidgeot and whatever. So there's a lot of Chenpal, Excalibur. You've got a lot of good
Arceus V-Star.
Don't see like an ancient deck or a future deck or.
But it's usually a tech option in Arceus.
Right.
I will say there's a new card, Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX, which is essentially directly better. I think that Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX is absurdly good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, in an Arceus deck, this still may be better.
Maybe.
Because you can power it up.
Yes. But it doesn't affect attack, so it can be gust around. Cannot be canceling clone, which is, I guess, a benefit. Right.
The fact that we lost rope from the last rotation helps. Before, when there's rope and boss, I know you
also losing path helped it.
Right, because path would shut up the ability, so then they could. It actually would help like a Charizard EX just take you out then.
Yep.
Assuming you would take the surprises.
Mm-hmm.
And rope boss was always a possibility. You seem to always deny that would happen, but
it was pretty rare.
I don't think
I really ever had it happen.
But you didn't like to play Alolan Vulpix either.
I did. I played it some.
So anyway,
I didn't control where my opponent would rope early game then lose.
Yeah. So anyway, A tier there I think is fair, and then Regidrago V-Star that one's a tricky one, right? And that one's going to get better too, right?
Yes.
As well. So Regidrago V-Star, what it does, if you're not familiar, it just
wins the game.
Well, this is kind of like Lugia in that if it sets up, it's really good.
That's true.
It's still really good if it sets up.
I played Regidrago V-Star with Lugia V-Star.
To see.
And it worked.
Before, when you had the special enemies in format?
Yeah, and I did this because I think they were the 2 free decks on the ladder.
Was that the other one?
Yeah.
The ladder? Okay. So what it does...
Or the 2 decks, not necessarily free, but...
On the Battle Pass, the Regidrago is the premium one. I think that sounds right. So Dragon, Type 2, Stage, an evolution, no weakness, but Apex Dragon for Grass, Fire. That's the problem with most of these dragons. But you choose an attack from a dragon Pokemon and just go probably use it as this attack.
And you don't need that energy. You just need the Grass, Fire.
Right. You don't need the attack of what you're copying. So pretty good. So you know what energies you need, and you can attack with anything. And one of the cards that was on a lower tier, I think, was the Dragonite. We didn't really talk about it. That does 180 and accelerated 3 energies, which was one of the things you'd play in the Regidrago V-Star deck to help power up another attacker. So how do you get the energy on? That was always the problem. Still is the problem with the deck. You obviously Arceus, you had Gardenia's Vigor. I don't know. That was in format at this time.
Yeah. This guy's also like broken and expanded, I will say. It's like probably almost definitely the best deck.
Because you get the energy into play. And so that's going to get even more broken with the next set comes out.
Yes, I guess so. So there's a Dragon Bolt EX. Yeah, we mentioned it.
Yeah, we're not going to. Yeah, but then also had a very good V-Star power. I think this gets overlooked with why the deck is good, and I don't think you respect the V-Star powers. I think
It's interesting.
it's a very good V-Star power, and it works well with this deck. You Star Legacy or Legacy Star, sorry. You discard the top 7 cards of your deck, and you put 2 cards from your discard pile into your deck. They don't have to be the ones that were just discarded. Any two, so that's quite nice, right? We cover any 2 cards. People like that dark one.
Darkrai.
Darkrai, because it recovers 2 autos. This
Yeah.
recovers any 2
Well, people don't
cards.
love Darkrai. People don't play it that much.
No. No, I guess before rotation when Rangoon EX had more things.
Yeah, I guess it was all right. Anyway,
But so it really helps set up, obviously. I think it's a good. It helps the Regidrago. If
it's
you're not
kind of
playing
risky. You're
Arceus,
probably losing some stuff you want.
you are. I mean, and you can't. Yeah, I get it. So
I think it's good late game.
it could be. Yeah, recover.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that too. Obviously, you can recover your ace spec now too, so that's nice. But if you're playing with Arceus, which is probably the most consistent way to play it, you're probably using the Arceus V-Star power. You can't do that, but you have a great dragon Pokemon to choose from even now.
Yeah.
So it's very good, but it's tricky to set up. I think you'd agree with that, right?
Yeah, I'd say not S tier. Yeah.
No, that
No,
was
probably
that was a hope. We want. I mean, I'm sure I want it to be S tier. So is it A tier?
Yeah, I think.
Or is
it's
it
A
B
or
tier?
B.
It's
I think
either the bottom of the A tier, top of the B tier, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of in that
Yeah.
range. So
Anyway, so I think that's about it for today's podcast. That we've gone a little over, not that much.
yeah.
But long story short, we're always right.
Even when we're wrong.
Even when we're wrong, we're always right. It's everyone else is wrong. No. So we missed on a few of these. I think a lot of the ones we missed on, we were a little hopeful for. Or some of them like aged kind of weirdly. Like Reggie, like their cards that came out or didn't come out after.
Right. Yeah, the ones that look bad that we should have known better, are ones that we just hoped were going to be better, and we were looking forward to trying out, but just weren't quite that good. We should have known better at the time.
Yeah. But anyway, we hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you did, like and subscribe on the YouTube videos and check us out on podcasting platforms.
Yep.
But we're excited to see you in the next podcast.
All right, take care.